Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be looking at the next part of TexTalks BattleTech, the Marauder, Part 4, well, the Marauder. Last time around, I was absolutely sick, and I probably shouldn't have recorded that video if I'm being completely honest. Especially since I had trouble talking, and then I decided to go through the intermission and read every single word on the screen. Mistakes were made, and I paid for them. Now, though, I'm feeling better, and we can actually get into the part that won't have me reading everything on the screen, because sure, why not? Oh, jeez. That said, I'm actually glad to be feeling better, and I'm glad I can jump right back into BattleTech, because goddamn, I really wanted to do this. I couldn't, because the one time I gave in to temptation and did it. Again, have I mentioned it was a mistake? Because it was very much a mistake. Oh, yeah. Apparently wanting to rip your throat out of said throat. I don't know how you rip yourself out of yourself, but it was apparently what I wanted to do. It's just like, nope, it's much safer this way. Yeah, like I said, mistakes were made. Feeling better, though. So we're going to jump right in, see what happens, and probably do some giant mech stompy goodness with big freaking cannons. Does it sound like I'm excited? Because I am. I partially blame the fact that I'm feeling better. Also because giant stompy robots. Both are good reasons. Otherwise, you know the deal. Link below, original video, hit it up. And we're done. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's get started. Part 4, the Marauder.
Usually, in history or a human interaction, when someone insists...
I spoke too soon about reading everything on the screen, didn't I? Discount Dan, super legit, corporate assets, liquidation sale, 75% off, microwave parts. Oh, they saw the individual parts. Oh, God. Price is so low that the Camerons threatened jail time. That's how you know it's good. Because this is back when the Camerons were still around, yeah, even though they meant a different phrase.
that something in particular is something special. They're either flat out lying in order to sell you bullshit you don't need, or make themselves feel better, or most likely stating a matter of opinion derived from personal experience. I can say the following.
I feel that what he just said should be, like, unironically something every single person should hear at some time before they start using the internet. It be bullshit. I'm heavily summarizing, but it's exactly what they should all hear. Also, goddamn, I love this art. It makes me want to get a Marauder even more. It's like, I love the Mad Cat. And this is basically just a Mad Cat without the missile launchers. And it's so freaking cool, man.
Is a fact. The Marauder is definitely something special.
Yeah.
And being that this is academia, I must now prove that assertion.
Oh?
Despite pressures from the SLDF,
I mean, I know he's doing a bit about being a teacher, but I didn't realize he's going through with it.
Private security
I'm sorry, what did I miss?
House armies, mercenaries, private security firms, and the occasional periphery ups.
But private security firms are mercenaries. Or are they treated differently in BattleTech? I would normally say that no, they're literally the same thing. A PMC, a private mercenary company, is a mercenary company. The security aspect is just one of the things they do that doesn't involve explicitly shooting people. Unless there's a solid divide between the people who actively are trying to murder and the people who are definitely not actively trying to murder, but that they very much actually are. That's weird. I mean, it's like, it's one of those things that you get it in your head, but it doesn't actually make sense when you think about it.
Start to build specialized weapons platforms in order to fill various perceived weaknesses in military doctrine. GM chose to build something.
Ooh. Oh yeah, GM's back.
That's a very nice way of saying they decided to build whatever the fuck they wanted instead of trying to build what a customer demanded. So rather than build...
I've worked in customer service long enough that I know the customer is always right is what you say to their face, where behind the scenes, the exact phrasing is the customer's wrong, just make sure they don't realize it. The fact that they're... So let me get this straight. The Marauder is literally going, yeah, we know what you want. That's stupid. We're going to do our own thing. I just wasn't even good. Oh, sorry. This is just tickling the funny bone tonight.
Build a sniper, or a brawler, or an assault platform, or any other specialized warfighting machine. GM rolled up its sleeves, did a rail of Canopus battle powder, and designed something goddamn unique and truly fucking beautiful. The Marauder just wasn't a departure from the trend toward specialized niche mechs coming out to fulfill specialized battlefield roles. And as stated, the Marauder wasn't even designed with the wants and wishes of the client in mind.
What was the initial wish for it then? I'm assuming all-arounder that can do sniper or brawler roles really damn well was not what they were going for. Although personally I just prefer them as a sniper platform. That said, they can do brawler. I mean, in the sense that they can get up close with a giant-ass fuck you gun, but details.
Instead, the Marauder takes from the older idea that a weapon should be able to fill a wider variety of roles.
It's not going to be great at anything, but it'll be always useful.
War machines are more attractive to a customer's actual needs instead of their perceived needs, and therefore less of a pain in the ass to justify purchasing.
So it's literally the exact opposite of the Rifleman. Where the Rifleman was a heavily niche, where it's useless everywhere but where it's made for, this is going to be good everywhere, which I guess does explain why the Marauder is just generally referred to as a better mech. Also, it looks so much freaking cooler. But details. It's kind of cool how he's went from one mech to the other, and they're literally on the exact opposite ends of the design philosophy spectrum. Neat. Was that intentional? No, I think it actually just was a poll, but kind of fun how it worked out that way.
GM has made a name for itself as not only as an innovator, but a company that is willing to take risks.
Oh?
From Corvettes to fusion power.
A Corvette was a risk?
From power plants to weapon systems. GM has time and time again put their money on the line and said, fuck it, somebody's got to do it.
Oh, wow. I know this is not actually their slogan, but goddamn, do I want to get this with the GM branding, with this right under it on a shirt or something, because that's so incredibly stupid. I actually respect it more.
And in
Could never get past management, but it would be awesome.
I am very glad that they did. Expertly crafted from blueprint to prototype to production run, with keen attention paid to every possible feature.
Oh, this is the point where they're lowering the cannon.
From all mechs that came before, and substantially influenced every mech design since. Standing 12 meters tall and weighing in at 7.
Okay, just from a sheer art perspective, not just that we see the framework that's going to hold the armor later being layered on top of the actual musculature, but we actually get to see the musculature. This is something that a lot of the design cutouts and a lot of the art just don't really show, but you actually get to see how it is fibers and it looks like musculature, and I love that. And you can see the inners, and oh god, this is literally giant robot porn right now, and I love every second of it. It even has the umbilical cords feeding it power while its engines are apparently not actually running yet, which would be useful because if they were running, then that could be a huge issue. Like, hey, let's plug a light bulb into this nuke reactor. Let's see how that works. Also, interesting. I thought they had a bigger upper section for the Marauder than just the small little forward-facing camera. Or not camera, window. Huh. Maybe it's a design thing.
5 tons by Star League reckoning, the Marauder cut an imposing figure when it rolled off the production line in 2612. From its generous armor, keen balance of firepower, to the top-of-the-line communications and targeting systems, the base Marauder was light years ahead of its contemporaries, boasting 2 Hellstar PPCs, an SRM-6, and a pair of medium lasers and small lasers to round everything out. To top it off, GM partnered with their autocannon division to add more firepower.
They had a division for autocannons?
Yes. Huh. GM has an autocannon division.
Hey!
GM autocannons. Because fuck that guy in particular.
Oh, I absolutely love this. Although, considering how this thing is shown to be spinning while it's firing, wouldn't that be a rotary autocannon? You think? Whatever.
GM decided to equip the Marauder with the Whirlwind AC-5. This wasn't a +1 solution where they simply tried adding one more weapon to fill tonnage.
Oh?
This was an actual design feature, because the Marauder could go hull down behind cover and continue the engagement while safe.
Okay, that's actually something I remember. I've played most of the video games where they don't have hull down as an option because you're always moving, no matter what. You don't stop. But apparently on the BattleTech tabletop side, which I've played, but I don't have a Marauder, I've never actually remembered that rule because, again, I've only played a handful of times. You could actually do hold down to get cover, so it actually makes not moving more viable. And since it has the guns above torso level, or I guess above head level even, that is actually a viable option with the autocannon. Gotta remember that part.
Behind whatever was at hand. With the advantage of surprise firing behind cover, the Whirlwind AC-5 could accurately hit opponents and hard, delivering a 3-shot burst of pinpoint 120mm projectiles.
Damn.
GM partnered with many industrial firms.
Oh yes, the not Xeon art.
Marauder. This was for multiple purposes. The first and foremost was to make the Marauder the most attractive weapon system they could. For example, they opted to involve Dalban Micronics for their excellent communication.
Okay, this is a Mad Cat down here. This company sticks around long enough to have Mad Cats? They're either going full clan or Innersphere when they get clan technology access. Either way, that's a lot longer than most of these companies, considering we're in pre-Star League era or Star League era. Actually, I think we've been covering both eras, so pre and post. No, not post. Pre and current Star League eras. So, damn, this company was around a while.
And targeting systems. This was a wise move and instantly added prestige to the Marauder design, as Dalban Micronics had been involved on the Mackie design and production team.
And
accordingly,
they were in the beginning
had become
of it.
the accepted standard of quality electronics equipment across the Inner Sphere. By incorporating a known name and a premium one at that, GM ensured that any military purchasing authority who scoffed at the new design would see that it had implemented off-the-rack proven technologies throughout not only its design,
so they know it would work because they've seen it work.
And it had
that makes sense.
Them from proven military vendors. The engine chosen was the venerable 19-ton Vlar 300. While heavy, and likely an approved licensed variant of an existing GM product, the notion of using an outside power plant may have been a diplomatic gesture, for if not...
Wait, they licensed out their own power plant designs? 1, weird. 2, they licensed it out, but then they got their own design from someone else to say that they got it from them to build prestige by getting their own thing. That is kind of ridiculous, and honestly probably a very good plan, because you know it's going to work because it's really just your own shit. But you got it from someone else that you sold it to, so you get to pretend it's theirs and not yours. Sure, why not? Hey, if it works.
Nothing else. It's a hell
like
of a lot harder
almost.
to cancel a military program that spreads jobs evenly across a broad voter base. As for the primary weapon systems, the Marauder, again,
this one's a lot thinner
excelled.
than usually you see this.
Whereas many other mechs previously had specialized weapon systems or an eclectic mix of firepower, the Marauder was the first to suggest a balance of heavy firepower options, allowing engagement at any range, while ensuring long-term battlefield survivability. The dual Hellstar PPCs were chosen as the primary weapon system, not because they were cheap, but for one consideration above any other. They were insanely durable. GM had studied the early years of mech combat and had noticed a few things. For starters, mech pilots would often trend toward abuse of their equipment as they had begun to believe themselves some sort of incarnation of knightly order.
Wait, they did what with abuse of the equipment? I get the knightly order thing because that was a huge thing of chivalry coming around. Also, I can't speak Latin, so I have no idea what any of this says. But what was that about? What? They abused their equipment?
For starters, mech pilots would often trend toward abuse of their equipment as they had begun to believe.
Okay, yeah, no, they do abuse their equipment. That is a thing. That is a really dumb thing. Who the hell is like, you know what's really fun right now? Beating the shit out of the thing keeping me alive and in the fight.
Believe themselves some sort of incarnation of knightly order.
Knights kept track of their armor. They had squires for that.
In glorious combat and daring do in the name of duty. However,
a locust, a rifleman, an archer, a shadowhawk, and a I recognize that, But then the head throws me off, and of course the Mackie is Jesus in this one. That's supposed to be like, I was going to say a Banshee, but that's not it either. I actually don't know what mech this is. Huh.
Such beliefs also resulted in mechs being torn to pieces in the headlong rush toward glory, honor, and victory.
Oh, that's what he meant by riding harder than...
Yeah. Likely possibility. And ammunition a finite resource. The Marauder was designed from the get-go
to survive dumbass pilots,
but embrace bludgeoning as a tactic. The arm pods were purposely overbuilt for durability.
They literally built it for melee. Or not so much for melee, but to survive when the pilot decides that the long-range weapons are good to hit someone in the face with. Of course. They know who they're selling this to. Or more specifically, who's going to be using it.
Ability. And significantly reinforced to lend itself to better mech foo for any insane.
This sums up the Secession Wars.
It for
Wait, what was that in the background?
Mech foo.
The Marauder just wailing circular on the freaking... Is that a Shadowhawk? Cockpit's a little higher than I'm used to. Might be a different mech, a Zeus maybe. Yeah, a Shadowhawk would be shorter. And then there's just the... Is that a catapult, but focusing on lasers instead of the actual catapult aspect? Like, literally, who gets a catapult and doesn't actually go full-on freaking missiles everywhere? Yes, I know there's a variant that sticks to lasers. I don't use it, and I think it's stupid because it's a freaking catapult, man.
For any insane enough to require it. For durability's sake, the Marauder was clad in 11.5 tons.
Honestly, this one is very odd. Just because it's so thin, and the cockpit looks like it's huge. Honestly, I'd almost say this is a Vulture instead, but no, I don't think it is. That is weird proportions.
Tons of Valiant Lamellar, which, while expensive at the time, and certainly on the higher end of things, was perhaps some of the most durable armor for weight yet constructed in the inner sphere. With truly superior damage mitigation properties against firepower directed against it, the Marauder also boasted a thin profile facing the target.
Thin?
Further enhanced by the
because it's
of the
low
armor,
and keeps everything in
line.
Yeah.
Shots to ricochet and bounce. Most mechs were designed around the concept of avoiding fire, or taking it and then retreating. The Marauder was designed to face it head on, charge in, and crush anyone who got.
Wait, this is also Marauder? Oh, that's different. I wouldn't actually think this is a Marauder. It has the basic look of it, but it's standing taller. This doesn't look like a Marauder. It almost looks like they went for a Marauder's actual centerpiece, but then they slapped on other mech pieces. It's like a Franken mech. It's like I can see the arms and I can see the cockpit, but then the torso section does not look Marauder. It looks like they really rejigger this entire thing. I don't know what the hell is this mech. It's like they got a stand-up mech, like a Zeus, or maybe a Zeus, decided to replace the cockpit with another mech, but they took the engine out of that mech as well. And it's like someone was in a video game and they had a mech standing on top of a Marauder at the same time and decided that the overlapping profiles were the actual mech. Oh, that's weird.
In the way, the inner sphere had its first mech that could duel at range, support an assault, chase down retreating enemies, city fight, ambush superior forces, or even throw hands in melee with ease. Again, most mechs up to this point had design philosophies limited by the thinking of the time, and with various industrial firms competing for who could fulfill production orders based entirely on the whims and wants of military procurement planning. And the Marauder was above all a departure from this. If anything, its design philosophy was "fuck you, I'm fabulous." And it.
Oh, dude! If there was one thing that could make me want a Marauder more, it's having that little phrase, "fuck you, I'm fabulous." I just, god damn it! It's literally the diva of mechs, isn't it? When it came out, it was literally the best goddamn thing out there, and everyone knew it.
It was truly that. With 16
Whoa.
heat sinks, the Marauder was respectively
That is very much a
cool
90s
unless
design.
a pilot face-rolled the controls. Most importantly, though, the Marauder was incredibly simple to modify and overhaul. That's right, they even future-proofed the
unseen
goddamn
version?
thing. Needless to say, the SLDF bought them the fuck out. The SLDF bought the whole first production run.
Oh,
and
wow, they
signed
actually bought it out.
contracts for extended orders in perpetuity. In short, this thing was a major cash cow for G.
Cash cow nothing. In perpetuity? That's not just saying we're going to take your entire stock. It's we're going to take your entire stock, and when you get more stock, we already bought it. This is literally the blank check. Oh, goddamn. If this wasn't such a goddamn amazing mech, this would be a horrible move. But also it's an amazing mech, so it's not a horrible move.
GM, and a cornerstone of SLDF war planning. The Marauder became the golden standard by which other mechs were measured. So much so, the Marauder was selected as the mech for the Gunslinger Program.
Makes sense.
Which, I guess I have to talk briefly about that. Tangent warning, everyone.
Ooh, we actually get to hear about the Gunslinger Program. I only know this from the previous mentions in an earlier video when we talked about Kerensky graduating from it, and it's the equivalent of the N7 program in Mass Effect, or just a Spartan program being just a Spartan program, of course, from Halo. Just any type of those. We are the best of the best that the other bests don't actually compare to best. Oh, dude, I'm actually really looking forward to finding out more about this.
I'll keep this brief, as good records on the era are scant and details somewhat vague. However, there are a few things to know for certain. In the early years of Star League, there was a problem with the Draconis Combine. Why?
Are you sure it's just the early years of Star League? Let's be completely honest. There's a problem with the Draconis Combine a lot more than just the early years of Star League. I mean, they might have only had to deal with it then, but I'm pretty sure there was a problem a lot more frequently than that one.
Well, they're the Draconis Combine. And as it turns out, when you tell a militarized culture that they don't need such a big military because the SLDF provides security and military power in your territory, the warriors who are sent home tend to get a
bandity?
Uppity. These angry warriors without masters, or Ronin, as they became known, were a particular sore spot for the SLDF.
Is that a
These
dragon
guys
in the background?
couldn't just lay down.
Oh, that looks weird.
No, thanks to believing they were honorable and mighty warriors in service of the state and gods on the battlefield, meant that they couldn't just simply go home and back down.
Okay, this might just be because I'm playing a lot of Metal Gear right now, but the entire problem they're talking about is actually the focus of the Metal Gear franchise pretty frequently. It's basically vets coming back home and being told, okay, this part of your life's over, disarm. And not just in the physical sense of removing their guns, but disarm your mentality, disarm how you think, how you react, how you associate orders into the fact that you don't actually have orders, you have directives from bosses instead of do this shit because I told you to. It's do this shit because I paid you to, which technically you also do in the military, but there's like higher structure than it's slightly different. So literally they walked into what Metal Gear does all the time. The entire issue of no going home for old men, essentially. I'm butchering the phrase. I'm aware of that even, and highly simplifying it, but interesting. Sorry, I've been on a huge Metal Gear kick, so seeing the parallel here of that kind of real-world issue happening here, for example, just people coming back home from the military in reality is a thing. Metal Gear I was going to say combats that, but they confront that type of mentality a lot in those kind of situations, usually to show that it's kind of fucked up and people are just going to act bad. And you try and help, but it doesn't really help, and it's just going to get worse. But also, Metal Gear is kind of depressing when you think about it. But here, we're all seeing that. It's like, yeah, we're going Ronin because we're going to keep doing our thing, even if everyone else isn't. But also, we're about to hear them apparently getting snapped down. Yeah, no, snapdown's probably the best choice of words here. Slapdown would imply a lot more guns than I think they're going to get.
They instead would go rogue and challenge the SLDF to duels.
Of course they did.
And thus began the first hidden war.
Oh?
Whereas a bad military option would be to just increase garrison size and occupy contested...
Yeah. Contested state. I've heard about the hidden wars only because in the Amaris videos early on, after they took out the periphery, there were the hidden wars, which I thought were just like little bushfire things between the cities. Well, cities. I was going to say cities or city-states, but I mean the houses. But apparently it's factions within the overall factions that the SLDF had to tamp down on. Huh. I honestly thought they would be wars between the houses, not between the SLDF and the houses, or house offshoots. I mean, there probably is inter-house conflict as well, but interesting.
Zones with more and more military hardware, the SLDF chose a smarter option.
Oh?
What if they trained a bunch of badasses to excel at ass-kicking, station them in the problematic areas, and then just
humiliate
let things play out? After all, if the former Draconis warriors wanted a duel, give them duelists that would send them home in a fucking pine box.
Or worse, let them live because you actually have a monopoly of strength. Basic principle being, a really hard fight kills the opponent. Someone who has an absolute monopoly on force can afford to be merciful. Merciful in the common sense, not the faster, painless death. Merciful, which is actually the historical usage of the word. Yeah, funny how the word changed. It actually used to be a really disturbing and depressing thing. But yeah, it sounds like they're basically stationing the biggest bad guys there. It's not just putting them in a pine box, but you're going to win, and you're going to humiliate the other guys to break their spirit, which seems to be what they're really holding on to cause the problems. This is smart. Tex had that one right.
As well, any of the lessons learned in this dueling program could then be applied to the SLDF and get better mech pilots as a result. And so the SLDF Advanced Combat and Maneuvering
the best of the best of the best.
In time, it would.
I made the joke earlier, it was the best of the best of the best, but this is literally just someone's mock-up art saying the best of the best constantly over and over again for the entire bottom half of a poster. And I hate that this is actually a good design choice, because if someone sees this, they'd actually probably like, yeah, it's a joke, but also probably should take it that seriously, yeah. Also, Highlander and Marauder up there, nice.
His program was effective in eventually getting the wayward Draconis warriors to stop acting like weirdos, demanding honor and chances to prove themselves in combat by either...
I'm sure none of them ever shot a Batchall. Oh, just one of the reasons I hate Nicholas Kerensky. He imitated the Combine. Sure, he would hate that comparison as well. So more importantly, fuck him.
Recruiting them into the program.
Oh.
Or giving them what they wanted in the first place.
Place to belong.
A battlefield death. This program would rely on taking the best of the best and either making them very much better.
The fact that they recruit them, though, is interesting.
Very fucking dead. Graduates of this program included many of the commanders and division leaders of the Royal SLDF regiments.
Oh.
And all of the goddamn Black Watch. Through their legendary status, regardless of what war machines they used on the field of battle.
Does that say brain donor? I don't know. Huh.
Each and every graduate of the Gunslinger Program had two things in common.
Badasses with big guns?
They were probably the deadliest Mechwarriors in the history of armed combat.
Yep.
And two, they had honed their skills in the Gunslinger Program's training mech of choice. The fucking Marauder. That being said, we have...
Okay, what the hell is this loadout and how do I get it? Is that like a PPC with 6 minor ones? Or is that like plasma? Or what the hell? Let's just say Blackwood. Dude, I even know what this version is and I like it.
To ask ourselves how versatile Marauders are really.
Very.
In truth, there are so many goddamn variants that most sources struggle to even explain them.
Seriously, that's not even a joke about, like, in-universe. This is an actual real universe thing. There are so many Marauders that if you go into Megamech, sorry, not Megamech, I'm actually just going to pull it up right here. Yeah. Mech Factory. Pull it up right here. You just load that, and there's an actual pause while the system has to take a second to load all of the different Marauders that are up there. It takes forever. It's one of the reasons I haven't really looked through what options there are, because it takes forever to load them. And then you have to go back and reload them to get more. Just, at this point, you just figure out what you want and then just build the mech around it, because it's just going to be faster. I haven't figured out other function yet, but still, there's a lot.
In fact, there are variations on the design, catering
to
the
BPL
every
version.
Possible combat scenario. And this coupled with its ease of modification.
I didn't know the Boston Public Library had a Marauder. Wow! For the 5 people out there who just maybe cringed at the fact I said Boston Public Library, you're welcome.
Repair and manufacture has certainly granted it supernatural longevity throughout the inner sphere and beyond. So let's talk about what makes a Marauder a Marauder.
And that was just a little bit more of the Marauder for part 4. Dude, even though it's just a bit touching on the Gunslinger program, I'm glad we got anything into that, because before I only knew about it because of people in the comments talking about how, yeah, that's the thing. And text someone like, yeah, they're all from the Gunslinger program. So is Kerensky. Yeah. This is one of those things I kind of want Tex to just go a deep dive video on that alone. Maybe just a quick short half-hour one. Wow, a half-hour video for Tex would be short. But just doing that and seeing what kind of craziness he has. But again, like he mentioned, there's not a lot of info in this time period, so it would be really hard to come up with maybe that much info, because he might have just exhausted everything there is known about it, which would suck. And also is a little surprising they haven't had more novels back in that time period going into what it used to look like. I mean, it's not like BattleTech ever had issues with that before. So many places and so many things could happen that they could just say it's a hidden war and come up with entire conflict and all the consequences that they didn't realize were playing into things yet. I'm just saying, if anyone happens to know if maybe there is a novel out there somewhere in this time period and I'm just not aware of it, and you maybe happen to link it down below or tell me the title, I'd appreciate it. I really would. Thank you. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. Also, I just joined Hive, a new social media app, and it's pretty cool so far. It's basically a bit of Twitter and Instagram at the same time, but so far not nearly as toxic. Although that's mostly just because I follow people whose opinions and comments I actually care about and no one else. Makes it a lot easier. So yeah, hit me up there. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.